such people are, of course, very attractive for Russian intelligence. There's no doubt about it. Whether he was working for them or not is another question.
Did a refugee from Afghanistan who was given British citizenship and went on to work for MI6 and GCHQ actually spying for Russia? That's the question a specially convened Immigration Appeal Commission has been weighing up this week after MI5 agents accused this man, called C2, of being an agent for the GRU, the Russian Military Intelligence Agency. The Times has been reporting today, and it's also on the front page of the paper tomorrow, that the British government, which stripped him of his citizenship in 2019, claims that letting him back into the country would pose a national security risk. Well, earlier I spoke to Boris Volodarsky, former captain in Russia's special forces, the GRU Spetsnaz, and he told me to what extent the alleged spy would have been targeted by Russian intelligence.
That will be a very attractive target to Russian intelligence, and I do not have many doubts that he was really working as a contractor for those British organizations, because they are permanently looking for people who have good command of special languages like Afghan languages and others, difficult languages. So that might be true. He should have been vetted probably properly, checked, and all his biography should have been checked. And I'm rather surprised that he received his clearance. I mean, the clearing process is rather long and complex. So to receive a clearance, everything should have been okay with him. So they found out something suspicious quite late, after a long, long time.
What does that tell you about the way in which the intelligence services here clear people that they are desperately keen to persuade to work for them?
Well, no. I mean, they're in need of people who have command of the language and who know the countries. And these are difficult countries, and countries that quite a few people know, actually. You need a native, and you need a trusted native, who probably was born and grew in Britain or in a similar country, in a friendly country. And these people are very rare. So, of course, they close their eyes on a few things when attracting such people for work. But I don't think they entrust secret work to such people. Anyway, we know a lot of cases, and we know a few cases where Russian spies, like a Czech spy, for example, Karl Kocher, worked for the CIA in a similar position. He worked as an interpreter and translator for the CIA, and he was a trained Russian intelligence officer who was sent there specifically with this task. So that looks clear. And I mean, such people are, of course, very attractive for Russian intelligence. There's no doubt about it. Whether he was working for them or not is another question.
Right. And it's also being reported by the Times that this gentleman, C2, was being groomed by Russian intelligence since the age of 5. I mean, that's the accusation. And that would have meant while he was in Afghanistan. Now, how credible does that sound like to you?
Oh, to me, that sounds absolutely incredible. This is absolutely impossible. I mean, I'm telling this from my own experience and knowing the system quite well. This is impossible. They do not work with young people. That accusation probably comes from the old books of the 60s of one British writer of the Czech origin. His name was Bernard Hudson, who published several books about that. Among them, like Women Spies or Schools for Spies, that are still quite popular and being sold widely, but it's all an invention and impossibility. This is not possible.
Mm-hmm. And Boris, C2 has admitted to meeting 2 Russian military attaches, paying cash bribes to them, it's being reported, passing commercial info and swapping naked images of women. For GRU members to have swapped details like that and to have got that comfortable suggests a degree of intimacy. I mean, how would you frame that?
Well, no. Well, first of all, this is a very strange statement about this exchanging photos. I mean, that sounds rather strange and unrealistic. First, he was exchanging pictures with whom? First, they said he was meeting two Russian military attaches. In another paragraph, it says he was meeting a person from the Russian foreign ministry. So with whom he was exchanging these pictures is not clear. Second, it said he was exchanged naked pictures of women, not pictures of naked women, which is a different thing. So it's quite unclear in this statement what it's all about. No, there's no intimacy. It doesn't say anything more or less about anything.
Yeah, and when you consider how British relations with Russia have declined over the past 20 or so years, you consider the poisoning of Alexander Litvinenko in 2006, the annexation of Crimea in 2014, the poisoning of the Skripals in 2018, and of course the invasion of Ukraine 2 years ago. How keen would the GRU be to exercise influence over British society at the highest levels and indeed infiltrate it? What would they be looking for at this time?
The GRU, well, there's a wrong impression in the British society and generally in Western Europe about the activities of the GRU. GRU is not an intelligence service which is exerting any sort of influence. GRU is military intelligence, similar to British military intelligence or American military intelligence, which is only about stealing military and technological secrets, or military secrets when we are talking about the case of war. They are not doing any influence operations, no any propaganda. They're not involved with any high levels of any society. It is not their job. This is the job of the SVR, the Foreign Intelligence Service of Russia, which is a little bit similar to MI6 or CIA. GRU is not involved in these activities at all.
So what would the SVR be interested in if indeed they were contacting this guy? What would they be after?
Oh, the SVR would, of course, be interested in all sort of information that this person could provide. They would be interested in anything related to GCHQ, MI5, MI6, the NATO secrets, influence operations, all sort of propaganda activities, disinformation, all sort of covert activities which he would be used in would be quite of interest for the SVR.
And I wonder how much interest the SVR or the GRU would be paying to this particular case now, as it's being reported.
This is absolutely, I mean, there's no doubt that the Russian embassy in London and probably also the both headquarters of the GRU and SVR are very attentively following the situation. They would be quite interested to know what would be the outcome of the situation, because that would definitely be taken for them for in preparation for future possible cases like that. We remember that we have at least 2 cases when Russian persons were stripped of the British citizenship, and this is the case, of course, of Katya Zatuliverta, who was advising one of the members of the British Parliament, and of Anna Chapman, a famous case when it was discovered that she was a Russian spy and illegal operating in Britain and in America. So a case of anybody being stripped of British citizenship and acting against this decision would be, of course, of great interest for all Russian special services.
And Boris, final thought. Later on tonight, the American television presenter, a former presenter on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, will release the interview he has done with President Putin. What do you think we should watch out for?
There's been a lot of activities when he arrived in Moscow, and all Russian propaganda channels were writing, oh God, famous American Fox journalist arrived in Moscow, and he is now going to present the true picture of Vladimir Putin, as the West does not want to see, as they don't want to realize as a great leader he is. So we should expect, of course, Carlson to present the picture of Putin as the great leader of the country, supported by everyone and doing everything correctly. There's no doubt what he is going to do.